morning, guys. Just did Saturday donuts, a weekly tradition ever since quarantine. My absolute favorite coffee shop near me is Current General Store. They're a general store, as you can tell by the name, but they also have a super high quality coffee bar. They use Devotion coffee out of Brooklyn, and every Saturday they get their donut orders in from Vegan Treats, which is a vegan bakery in middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania. So they are incredible. Look at this. Let's see if I can get that texture. Well, first off, size of my head. Look at that. Look at that. My absolute favorite is the blueberry. It's a nice blueberry cake with a light glaze. All vegan, of course. I am dairy-free by choice. And then the star of the show, I switch it up. Today I got a iced oat milk latte, but lately I've been doing iced oat milk cappuccinos, which is just a less milk to coffee ratio. But this is that beauty. So good, so good, so good. Just like a nice treat, especially after all the crap that's gone down in quarantine with everyone. It's just been like the one constant that I have in my weekly routine. Always love starting my Saturday mornings this way, and can't complain, really. Can't complain. Good morning, guys. So I just got to work. Sundays are normally my busier days where I work 2 of my jobs back to back. So I always bring so much crap that I probably don't need. I'm literally packing for World War III, but I got my Honey and Roses travel mug, which I fluctuate between using this one and my Keep Cup that's a thermal one, which I got from Current, which I love. But I am drinking more of the Pink Cloud Summer, which is by Flashlight Coffee over in San Francisco. I'm obsessed with it. It was a limited. I did a full review over my Instagram stories under coffee reviews. But it's just been so light, and it's not too tart. Wait, let me just show you this situation right now. So I have my lunch. I brought my Chemex and all of my coffee gear, because sometimes I'll just like bring all of my stuff and just make coffee at work, essentially, because there's a kettle there on my second job over at Lululemon, and it just works out so much nicer because I know I have good coffee because I'm making it, and then I have all of this crap as well. Like, do I need 1, 2, 5 bags? No, but here we are. Woo! And I'm wearing my new Tay-Tay T-Swizzle Taylor Swift merch. This is my folklore sweatshirt, which I'm obsessed with. So cozy, gets me ready for fall. Of course, I'm wearing Lululemon leggings, because why not? So, I have my phone, because I have some notes, and then also I asked you guys over on my Instagram, Coffee Nut with 3 E's, for any questions that you had. But basically, I'm just going to be going through my tips just with Instagram, things that I've found over time that have just helped me. Obviously, disclaimer, I'm no expert. I don't have a lot of followers by any means. I've a very niche community, which I'm super grateful for, but I just want to put that disclaimer out there. I'm not an expert. You can take this advice, or you don't have to. Do what you gotta do. So, 1, engage with other content. 2, have a hashtag strategy. 3, look at your analytics and use them. Experiment with it. 4, consistency helps, but it is not the end all be all. 5, create content that people will want to engage with. The first thing that I would recommend strongly is treat the accounts that you're following the way that you want to be treated. So I really love when people leave a nice comment or an engaging comment on one of my photos or starts a conversation. So I enjoy doing that to other people's content that I see on my feed. And then once you build that foundation of interacting with other accounts the way that you feel like you want to be interacted with, of those that you're following in your feed, I would then highly recommend going through hashtags within your niche, preferably under 1 million posts, which you can see like when you go on the hashtag, and go through the recents or the tops and interact and engage with content there, whether it is just liking or commenting, but don't do it too fast. Normally after every 6 posts, I'll go to the profile of the next person's and like it from there instead of through the recent feed or the top feed, so that Instagram doesn't think you're a bot. But I mean, I would, like the content that you like and don't like the content that you don't like. Pretty self-explanatory, but that just helps, get your account out there, your name out there. And again, just treat other accounts and other creators the way that you want to be treated. So for example, some hashtags in my niche that I really like going through and just I just find such gorgeous photos is, one is coffee shop corners. That's one of my favorites. Another one is coffee blogger or coffee blog, or also like different coffee or cafe hashtags geared to a certain city. I love seeing like that kind of different cafe culture and things like that. So it's really a preference thing. But so one, engage with other content. Number two is have a hashtag strategy. So I've talked about this a bit in my Instagram stories, and there's so much of this online too if you search it, but basically you want to use up your 30 hashtags and you want to switch out which ones you're using every single time. I've seen a couple different strategies where there was this one time I saw it on Facebook and it was like your first 10 should be this sort of hashtag and then the next 10 and this and that. Honestly, I haven't really noticed a specific like formula that works for me. I just have over time figured out what hashtags I would say gear the higher engagement or impressions with my content. So have a hashtag strategy, use up those 30 hashtags. I normally try and use hashtags that are under 1 million posts, just because I find if it's over 1 million, my content does get lost. But then if it's a super small hashtag with only like 5,000 posts, well then not many people are posting or going to that hashtag often. So just experiment around with it. You know, also another good tip is to look at other creators in your niche and see which ones they're using, ones that have a similar follow count to you or interaction account to you. And then also another pro tip that I've learned over time is go to a hashtag and go to the top post. See how many likes they're getting, how many followers that person has, and kind of compare it to your own to see like, oh hey, this person has 2 million followers and I don't. So then maybe trying to post in this hashtag isn't the best one for me, because you know, if your post does get pushed to the top page over the recents, then, you know, more likely to get engaged with, more likely to get seen, so on, so forth. Instagram algorithm, woo. Going on from that, it's super important to use your analytics and look at them and just play around with it. Again, just this is all about experimenting. I highly recommend getting a business or creator account through Instagram. It's free to do. It's like a quick little switch that you can do, and it gives you analytics and insights to your content and your account and things like that. And I just think it's just so helpful. I recommend that even if you aren't super serious. I'm, you know, me being a scientist, I'm just super curious and, you know, figuring out and piecing things together. So even if it's not like super important to you, I would recommend it, which goes into my next point, which is look at your analytics. So one analytic that I have been looking into a lot more recently that I've definitely seen results from just within the last week is looking at the little graph that Instagram creates for you about each day of the week and what times. It kind of gives like a little bar graph about what times people engage with your content the most. So for example, mine creates this little hump, and I have the most interactions with my content between around the hours of 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and to 3 p.m. And I'm not always strategic about when I post, as a lot of times I literally just post because I want to, which I think is super important. But previously, a lot of the times I would try and post within that middle point of my little bar graph hump. So it would be around noon or 11 a.m. or something. But then I saw a tip online where it recommended posting your content at the beginning of your high point of engagement for that day, which just made so much more sense. So if you think about it, throughout that period where your followers are most active, they're more likely to see it. And I just think that makes a lot of sense. So I've done that within the last week. I've definitely realized results. I mean, nothing drastic, but I mean, you know, little tweaks like that can make a difference. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. 4, consistency helps, but it is not the end all be all. So I definitely do think consistency helps. I definitely think it does help with the algorithm, as the more content you turn out or the more you post or the more active you are, the more likely you are to be seen by your followers. Of course, I don't know the Instagram algorithm personally, but I definitely do think there is some correlation between the two. I think it's super important that, say you don't have anything to post. There are so many times when I don't have anything to post, or I don't want to post, and that's another thing. On days when I don't feel like posting especially, I will instead be much more active on my Instagram stories. And I think Instagram stories is a tool that's sometimes overlooked, because if you think about it, the more you post Instagram stories, the more likely your followers will see it. And the more often your followers see your Instagram stories, you're then one of the first ones that pop up on their Instagram stories, like tab on the top. Essentially, if I was to do a whole experiment, a whole, you know, PowerPoint presentation on content, correlation, marketing, the whole bit. Just in general, the more you post, the more people are going to be able to see it. Well, actually it would go like this because you're looking this way. So it would go like this. Boop. So there's a positive correlation between posting and getting seen. Because if you think about it, over time, if you're more consistent with your Instagram stories, even if you're not so with your feed, then your followers are more likely to see your stories, and then over time, your posts are going to get pushed in their feed when they're just scrolling down. So overall, I definitely do think there is a strong correlation in the algorithm. So be consistent with your stories. Make stories that people want to engage with, whether that's polls or the little slidey thing where you can like pick an emoji, or questions or anything, because if people are engaging with it, then it pushes you in the algorithm as a whole. I feel like I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? So Instagram stories, so underrated. I feel like just be consistent, even if you're posting like once a day on your stories. Just do something. Say hey. You know, I love to talk about my cat, and that's about it. She's great. Her name's Lily. And just going off having stories that people want to engage with. Also your feed content, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The more people interact with your photos, the more it's going to get pushed, not only in hashtags, but in your followers' feed. It's especially important within the first hour or so of posting. I don't know for sure, but I've just seen so many places source this, whether that's likes, comments, etc. So just last week, I made another little switch in my content strategy, where normally I wouldn't really care to reply to comments right away. I would just kind of like wait a couple days or just get back to it when I can. It just wasn't really a priority of mine. Whereas now I try and do it as soon as I can. Like if people are commenting within that first hour window, I try and comment right away, because that still, I believe, don't quote me on this, but it still counts as an interaction or as a comment on your post. So then it's going to get pushed in the algorithm. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I think I've noticed a difference. If there's two things that you take away from this video, one, engage with other content, and engage with that content the way that you wish to be interacted with in return, whether that's comments, likes, replying to stories. I love when people reply to my stories, so I always try and do like emoji reaction or sort of conversation. Love it. And two, have a hashtag strategy. Play around with your 30 hashtags. Look what other creators are doing. Compare your likes and your followers to those in the top of the hashtag. Find ones in your niche. Experiment. But don't push yourself. I just think it's so important to come to terms with, if you don't want to post or you don't want to be on your phone, then don't be on your phone. I know that sounds like so straightforward, but I still have issues processing it. Like earlier today, I had zero interest in going on Instagram. And I was like, wait, I can just pick up a book and read it. I don't have to. Duh. So I just think it's really important not to push yourself and to put your mental health first. I did ask over on my Instagram if anyone had any questions for me to talk about in this video. So I'm going to wrap up this portion of the video with that. So the first question is top tips for maximizing likes, visibility of Instagram posts, and blog articles. So my top tip would definitely be having a good hashtag strategy and using all 30 hashtags. So visibility of Instagram posts, I would say similar thing is having a good hashtag strategy, play around with it, experiment with it, and also after you post, make sure you're engaging with other content for at least 10 minutes. I try before and after I post to engage with other content for at least 10 minutes. I've heard it helps with the algorithm, but I would say having a good hashtag strategy and engaging with other content. Any tips on increasing the reach? So similar thing, I would say having a good hashtag strategy and engaging with other content. Again, those two things I've I've gone about it. I have a whole blog post going on about, I don't even remember what I was gonna say. So I have a whole blog post, Any tips on increasing the reach? So similarly to the first question, I would definitely say having a good hashtag strategy and engaging with other content. I go into the engaging with other content a bit more in detail over in a blog post I posted. I will link the post down below. I just go into a bit more detail how engaging with other content has really helped expand my Instagram reach. So I just think the first two questions really go hand in hand, expanding your reach and growth. And the last question that I'm going to be answering is, how important is having a consistent color scheme / theme for your Instagram feed? I personally really like going to someone's account and seeing it being consistent and flow really nicely, but it is a personal preference. If that's not your thing, don't waste your time on it. Don't put your energy into it. It's really time consuming, at least for me. I spend way too much time caring and tweaking saturations and tints and brightness and shadows and just things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but here I am for at least an hour, 2 hours, like just scrolling through, planning out my feed on Unum and figuring out what I like best. I follow some gorgeous accounts which I can tell don't really use a filter or just kind of post what they want to post, and I think sometimes that gets lost in translation. Is just post what you want to post. If it doesn't match a perfect feed, if you don't care about it, then it doesn't matter. But me personally, I like having something that's a little bit more cohesive on my account. I just think it's a very subjective thing. If it's your thing, do it. If not, don't. Me personally, I do not think that you need to have a perfectly cohesive filtered feed to have a successful Instagram account. I definitely do think it's subjective. Unfortunately, that's the best answer I can give. Some people care, some people don't. So at the end of the day, just do what works best for you. And with that being said, thank you so much to anyone who got this far. Let me know down in the comments if you try any of these tips out or if you find them helpful. Let's chat over on Instagram or down in the comments. If you liked this, please let me know by giving it a like, subscribe. If that's not your thing, then no worries, no harm. But thank you so much for watching and have a great week, guys. This is so weird. Thank you.